Josh Helm here, Texas Best Construction. Today's video, we're talking about barndominiums used to be affordable. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's get it going. So let's get right into it. One of the reasons why barndominiums seem like they were more affordable is the fact that construction costs have clearly increased. Let's be honest, this is post-pandemic, post-COVID. There's a lot of things that's changed in the years, but you have lumber, you have steel, you have labor, concrete costs, fuel costs. All these things have risen over the last several years. And if you're comparing a barndominium, let's say from 2016 to today, then you're talking about two very different economics. We have a whole different economy now, and inflation has increased, and this is not just an excuse, this is just a real thing. Another thing I would say to keep in mind is that barndominiums are being built to higher standards. If we talk about the barndominiums that were being built, let's say 10 years ago, it was more of a matter of convenience. You had a metal building already, especially in the state of Texas. This was a common thing. People already had an outbuilding, and they just put some maybe living quarters on one side, something temporary, not meant to be permanent or even with any real longevity concerns. That was something that was done fairly often. Let's say you had a ranch and you had a metal building, wanted to put a place to sleep if you went to take care of your cattle or something like that over the weekend, or doing a lot of work on the ranch. So that is one common thing that I used to see, let's say 20, 30 years ago. That's why some people were doing it. Of course, the concept grew really quickly, but the infrastructure or the design has been more of a tail swing. So there's been a lot of things that have changed. Primarily, we've gotten more sophisticated with the designs. Why have we done that? Is that just something that the builders are doing? Not necessarily. That's something that consumers are more interested in having the permanency, the longevity for a build. You know, your early barndominiums were often just basic shells, and you had maybe just a little more than a metal shop, and you had a living area inside it. But today, these barndominiums are being built with intention. That's not just because of the builders, although the builders play a part by, number one, protecting themselves. You have to have legitimacy to what you're doing. You need something that's going to last. You need good build practices. You need to use best build practices with everything that you're doing. With those concerns and the fact that there's a lot of people that have had problems with some of the ways that barndominiums have been built, that pushes for higher quality construction. And that, at the end of the day, does raise costs. So that's another thing that has come along. And I guess that's why the finger always gets pointed to, say, contractors like us, is we are promoting best practices. We're trying to do things properly so we're not having to look over our shoulders and worry about problems. This is why when it comes to the way we were building 10 years ago versus the way we build today, things tend to cost a little bit more, because we're not just doing a metal building, we're doing maybe a spanning steel structure with our hybrid steel frame and all of the mixed wood construction that we're doing on the outer perimeters. So essentially, like I said in the last video, 80% of what we're building is similar to a conventional frame build. Thirdly, I would say that the demand has just exploded to build barndominiums. As barndominiums have become more popular, there's a lot more demand on builders, meaning we have to create a systematic way to go about and build barndominiums. Let me explain to you why the demand as a barndominium builder is different than being just a builder who builds maybe homes in a subdivision. We don't have just our building, but we have logistics. We travel to rural areas mostly, where we have to have trucks and trailers and all these types of things to be able to haul our own materials at times. They have to be able to move windows and doors and framing materials, steel materials, heavy equipment, mobilize with sky tracks and scissor lifts and all the things that, because it's a different type of construction, we have a different type of tools that we use in those scenarios, especially in the steel framing. It has a lot of requirements in that regard. We also have dumpsters and all these other kind of things. We've bought our own dumpsters because we don't want to have to rent these things. This helps to save some of the cost along the way. So there's a lot that is involved to mobilize as a barndominium builder. It requires a lot more. Doesn't mean that we're passing all these extra dollars. It's just, if you wonder why, as a legitimate builder, whoever they are, might be charging something similar to what it costs to build a conventional frame. This is why costs are what they are. Are these costs justifiable? We believe they are. You got to have all these things into place. You got to have your proper insurances. You got to have your builder's risk. You got to have your construction set up when it comes to getting a job site ready to build construction-wise. So the demand is definitely a big part of it. And because of the popularity of barndominiums, that's why people say that with social media, the TV shows, that's what's created the demand. Or, sometimes pointing the finger at guys like me who have social media channels that I've been accused of ruining the barndominiums because of that. But let's be honest, guys, barndominiums are popular because they fit a certain mold for what people want. It's getting back to rural, country, large open spans, flexible designs, flexible space to where you can get out into, maybe have your ATVs, have a lot of whatever hobbyist type things that you're doing, and have that kind of different type of storage, as well as have all your friends, family, these kind of things. Whether it's a weekend place or whether it's a retirement place or whether it's a permanent place to live out in those areas. One of the things that we saw through COVID was sort of a revival back to the country style living. Everybody wanted to get out and go be on the land. And a lot of people got back to their roots doing those kind of things. So that's what's generating some of this demand as well. It's the consumers who like it, and we as builders are just giving people what they want. So now that we've covered the topics of why maybe barndominiums are more expensive, let's just talk about some of the misconceptions. Are they just more expensive than conventional, or are they similar cost to conventional? Can you build a barndominium cheaper than a conventional? And I always have to say, look, this is all relative to what you build. Some people will accuse me of gatekeeping costs. We covered the cost last week in the video. Living square footage cost is around $180 to $200 a square foot. Your porches are around $50 to $60 a square foot, and shops. This is part of the planning. How has that changed? Prices are probably effectively 70 to 80% more than what they were like 5 years ago. That's big adjustment swings that's happened in all of these markets. But let's be honest, you're still getting more structure for your dollar than you can get in a conventional frame. Even though the prices have gone up, you're still often getting a larger home, larger space, whether it be shop, porches, living space, all of that flexible living. A lot of people start their budgeting off early with these great grandiose ideas. Let's have a 6,000 square foot under roof place. And that's the reason why barndominiums seem to be really expensive, because you're covering a lot more square footage than you might would have in a conventional frame. If you put it together pound for pound, we were out looking at a property today. It was like 1,800 square foot living quarters. We had 800 square foot of shop and 600 square foot of porch. Those kind of spaces like that, is it feasible for you to still build, between $400,000 and $500,000? Well, that's a lot of meat and potatoes, to be able to build something like that. So my rebuttal to the question, are barndominiums still affordable? Well, they have to be affordable. If the banks are involved, they're paying for it. The appraisals are coming in, but your quality of build needs to stay high so that your values stay high. So that's something to consider when you're building a barndominium. So it's not about just the initial cost, but what barndominiums offer over the length of time is longevity, energy efficiency, and the way that we're putting these packages together, it gives you long-term durability, low maintenance. All these types of things are what we're going for when we're building a barndominium. That's what makes barndominiums stay on the top. That's why people keep coming back and renewing an interest in doing it, is because it's trendy. People like it. They like it for the aesthetic. They like it for the concept, but there's some practical reasons why barndominiums stay on the top. It's not just about money. And barndominiums it's not just about it being cheap. Everybody doesn't want to build a cheap home. Everybody's not wanting something that's just cheap. We do want it to be affordable, but all that kept into reason. The sky's the limit really on how you can finish these things. When we started our channel, our goal was to kind of show you what you could do with a barndominium. So we started with some kind of extreme examples of that. We showed you 10,000 square foot barndominiums with really nice finishes. We have really all over the map. We build for surgeons. We build for, police officers, teachers, all types of different customers that we work for. So there's so many different varieties of professions of people that are choosing barndominiums. And whether or not you finish it out with the highest grade qualities or whether you want it to be very simple in nature, there is usually something that's somewhat fitting in a barndominium for that. So my final thought for this video, barndominiums used to be affordable, is that barndominiums aren't just about being cheap. That's not what barndominiums are all about. Some people, that's what they're about. So some people, that's all that they exist for, is that it was a cheaper option. But for most people that we've ever built for, it's never been about it just being cheap. That's never been the case. But what are they about? They're about smart designs, durability, versatility, energy efficiency. And while prices have gone up, so has the quality, and so has the comfort, and long-term values have gone up as well. Barndominiums are worth more today because builders are focusing in for intention and design and doing a better job at building them. Hopefully we're doing a little bit of our part to help raise awareness for that. It's not just a trend, but barndominiums are here to stay. Why? Because we feel like it's a smarter way to live. So there's a lot more to come on this channel. Appreciate you guys following along. Don't forget about our resources that we have. If you want to get a quote for building a barndominium, go back to our barndoquote.com. Also check out our plan site. We have over 60 plans available for sale at bestbarndoplans.com. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that now. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Josh Helm, wishing you all the best. Thanks for watching. Texas Best.